Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever you may be listening, and welcome to a special bonus episode of Latitude, the 43 North podcast. I'm your host, Nate Benson. Hope everyone's doing great. Yeah, like I said, it's a bonus episode. Why? Well, we did a thing this week. We held the Ignite Buffalo Finals on Wednesday, July 11th. So why do you get a bonus episode? Well, during that finals event, we held a live edition of the podcast with three great entrepreneurs from Western New York, and we recorded it, and now we're publishing it. Joining me on this very special podcast this week is Pete Cimino from Lloyd's Taco Factory and Churn, Kilby Bronstein from Half and Half Boutique, Mariah Jaworski from Groom Service and Row House, and we had a very nice conversation about small business in Western New York. So let's not waste another minute with me and join right into the conversation from Ignite Buffalo Finals and this live edition of Latitude, the 43 North podcast. Again, I'm Nate Benson, host of Latitude, the 43 North podcast, and I'm going to do things a little different tonight. Instead of a podcast, I'm going to do 20 minutes on the life of Grover Cleveland. So sit back. It's going to be... Who here has listened to Latitude, the 43 North podcast? All right, great. And we have some new potential listeners in here. I love it. Fantastic. So we've had 65 episodes of the podcast. We started it in March 2017. We talked to startup founders, entrepreneurs, investors, community leaders with the goal of telling the story of the Western New York entrepreneurship. You can find Latitude on Latitude the 43 North podcast on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So while the judges are deliberating, we're going to do a live edition of the podcast right here on this stage. But who are we going to talk to? Well, we have a great panel tonight. I'm thrilled to introduce three incredible entrepreneurs. First, we have someone who's making Buffalo beautiful. It sounded better when I wrote it. When I say it, that's what happens. From Groom Service, Beauty, and Dry Bar, as well as Row House Bakery and Restaurant, Mariah Jaworski. Next up, please welcome someone who's keeping Buffalo looking trendy, co-owner of Half and Half Boutique, Kilby Bronstein. And last, but certainly not least, someone who I can say without a doubt is responsible for at least 10 extra pounds most of us are carrying around in Buffalo, Pete Cimino from Lloyd's Taco. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us while the judges deliberate. How are we doing tonight?
Great.
Good.
Check. Okay.
All right.
Great.
It worked.
Having fun so far?
So far, so good.
You heard some of the pitches in the back. What'd you think?
Oh my God, they're amazing. You're just talking to them back there.
It's really fantastic. It's a great night. So now we're going to slow things down, have a nice conversation. First things first, Facebook is broadcasting this live to the world. We know who you guys are here in Buffalo, but for those who don't, why don't you give us the quick pitch of who you are?
So this is for everyone in Sweden?
For everyone in Sweden.
Okay.
I know they've got a huge taco contingent in Sweden.
So Lloyd is about more than just tacos. We're about creating a community of like-minded people, and we just happen to serve scratch-made food and inventive cocktails, and we do it in an environment, and we hope not to break your wallet.
Kilby?
Half and Half is located in the Elmwood Village. We're a women's, men's, and home goods store. We cater to women and men of all ages for casual and dressy attire. And we really have a really big footprint here in Buffalo with social responsibility. We like to partner with other organizations and definitely give back to this great community.
Groom Service, Beauty, and Dry Bar, is located in the Hotel Lafayette, downtown Buffalo. We've been open for about 4 years now, and we cater to both the bridal market, the special event market, and the in-home, on-demand services. When it comes to any event, we are making Buffalo beautiful, as Nate said.
You said it a lot better than I did.
Thanks.
And a special thanks to Mariah. You joined this panel about an hour ago because we had a cancellation, so thank you so much for picking up the slack and helping us out tonight. So coming back up the line real quick, tell us the story why you started your business, in your case, two businesses.
Sure. So with Groom Service, I actually came at it from the standpoint of an investor. I had moved to Buffalo about 4 years ago from Washington, D.C., where you had Dry Bar, Blow Bar on every corner, and you also had Sephora's, Blue Mercury's, the retail-oriented skincare services being offered. So I met my creative. And for anybody who is an investor, what you really need to do is meet your artist or meet your creative. And I met that person in Katie Ambrose. gross. And she and I connected, and we really looked clearly at the Buffalo market, which was lacking in both beauty services and bridal services. Now is a great time to be getting into the special event bridal market in Buffalo. If you're a special event coordinator, if you're a wedding planner, it really is just an emerging field in this city. And so where we were standing, it just made a lot of sense to offer those services. And it's the core of our business, and we're looking for our second location to expand. So it's been a very successful 4 years for us.
Fantastic. Gilby?
I was actually just out of college when I moved home to Buffalo, and I was faced with the decision to go to New York City or stay here, and I fell back in love with Buffalo. It was not like this when I was in high school. I grew up in Colden, so I was driving in and out of the city. I never really got to experience Buffalo, and I was so blown away with the city that my mom and I, who are business partners, which is crazy fun, and we wanted to reinvest back into Buffalo. And the previous owner of Half and Half approached us, asked us if we wanted to buy the business. We said yes, but we wanted to buy the building as well. And then we wanted to also purchase the building next door so we can create kind of a little community of businesses, pop-ups, events, and then hopefully partner with a different business to go in next door to us.
Why'd you start Lloyd?
Personally, it was for financial freedom, you know. I was a teacher at the time. I had started a few other businesses. Some were extreme failures, which I learned from, and some were, pretty decent, profitable, but nothing really, in terms of taking the plunge and going all in. So Lloyd happened to be that, and the opportunity to be the first food truck was really enticing to me, and that race was stuck in my head. So I figured, why not?
And we'll get back up to that, a question about that battle you kind of had about that. But I want to talk first about retail, and this is for you guys. Retail fashion industry is getting hit pretty hard. We can watch the news pretty much every week and see 75 more stores across the country getting closed down of insert big box company here. So e-commerce is obviously a big deal. People just want to buy their stuff online, not go to retail shops. How do you guys combat that feeling of not having a population that want to go into a retail shop anymore?
Well, we're kind of unique in that we're sort of service oriented with a retail component. I think you probably have more to speak to with respect to the retail.
Absolutely. I think e-commerce is the biggest one we face, with people just constantly shopping online. And I didn't honestly notice it until this past winter. And I was actually talking with Pete earlier. He was like, is it really slow at the store in the winter? And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so slow. And it's because everyone's online shopping. And so what we really noticed is that they'll come in the store, they'll look at the price, and then maybe they'll go shop it online because they like the convenience. But what we offer, being a brick and mortar store, is the personalization, the working with the customers, and the working with the person behind the brand. My mom and I handpick literally everything that goes into the store. And so when we talk with the customers and we get to talk to them about why we picked it, why we think it looks good on them, the fabrics, it's a personal experience you don't get online. Retail is a cyclical cycle. I mean, brick and mortar stores, this is kind of like our time to shine. With big box stores closing, it may not last forever, but it's definitely, this is it for us.
I would actually add to the personalization and customization kind of component of the retail experience, that will never go away. Mm-hmm. And the education that comes from walking into a brick and mortar store is unlike anything you can experience online. So for us, we're service oriented. Everyone who comes into our space, they're going to get makeup application, they'll get their hair done. We're educating them as they go along on their skincare routine, on their hair care routine. And if they're getting a service with us, they're leaving with a product in hand. That's our mantra. So there's really something to be said about offering the unique educational component of the retail experience.
I talked to a few storefront owners of the Elmwood Village. They said, things have been changing, but they noticed a big change when services like Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats came around because you weren't getting as much of that foot traffic that going to the restaurants. Have you experienced anything like that? Is it a little anecdotal?
I
or
definitely
is it
experienced when Pano's closed a couple months ago for renovations. It was definitely quiet on that end of the street. We're not necessarily really part of the huge food district, so I don't say we get a ton of foot traffic that way. But I definitely think everything you do on social media is so important to put yourself out there, because someone will be like, oh my gosh, I love this dress. I want to come in the store. They'll message you and, save this dress for me or put this on hold. So I think like how you put yourself out there, I don't know if foot traffic is necessarily the future of retail, unfortunately.
So
but little areas like the Elmwood Village and Hurdle and even down by Groom Service, like those communities are so important.
So Pete, you brought food truck culture to Western New York. Any update on when the statue of you will be finished?
Can I do the Heisman pose with the taco?
No, all kidding aside, you really did shake things up when you started your first food truck. Now you have multiple trucks, multiple brick and mortars. How did social media help in those early days with Lloyd and the expansion of that?
Yeah, I tell everybody flat out, this business, this food truck model, as it exists, wouldn't be possible without social media. Particularly Facebook, but and now Instagram. You are learning so much valuable information from your customers early on, and real time taking that back and making adjustments could make or break your business in its infancy.
What are some of your best practices for social media, especially with like a food truck business?
Very customer service driven. We take time to answer every inbound message. It doesn't matter what it's about. We think that's super important in a world when you're basically getting an answering machine, or you may not be talking to someone here. So it's nice to get on that and get on it fast. I think people really just want to know that their voice is heard, and you're forming a bond with your customer that you normally wouldn't be able to do.
It's funny. Monday night I had to make some of the calls for the Ignite Buffalo finalists. I called this one company, I won't mention them, but I called them like 4 times. Finally, I go on Instagram, send them a direct message, and literally in 17 seconds, he called me back. Like, you were on your phone. Anyway, anecdotally. Kilby Mariah, best practices for you guys for social media for your kind of very different audience than obviously what Pete's dealing with.
We've actually just been kind of rebranding the Half and Half social media. And so we've really been working with consistency, mapping out our posts, making sure that we are interacting with our customers. That is so important. Like every single time someone messages us, we message them back immediately. They want to know there's a person behind the phone. And having an idea, someone told me once you could just take a picture and put it up and you'd be fine, and that is so not the case, especially in retail. And so just making sure we're cohesive and putting our brand out there.
For Groom Service and Row House, we both have a relatively active social media presence, but I would also add, in addition to Instagram, in addition to Facebook, and maybe even LinkedIn, we try to focus on traditional marketing as well. So for Groom Service, one of the best, I think, initiatives that we had was a direct traditional marketing mailing that went out to, there was some list in one of the Buffalo dailies that identified like the 100 powerhouse women in the area. We got 5 of our best and most loyal clients from directly sending them personalized gift certificates. So I understand and I appreciate the importance of social media, but I would say don't focus on social media at the expense of traditional marketing, because there's still a lot of value there as well.
It's part of a tool in the toolbox.
Absolutely.
I actually want to piggyback on that real quick. Half and Half actually just signed up with a organization through Instagram where every single time someone messages us, we send them a gift certificate for 15% off. And so you are so right. It is so important to kind of interact with people that way and give them something and give them an excuse to come in and use your services.
We've got 27 companies getting an influx of money tonight. They're going to have new customers. What's your approach to customer satisfaction traditionally and on social media? How do you handle those negative comments, those positive comments? Obviously, you guys are all different businesses, so you see a lot of different types of feedback on social media.
I think you have to respond to every single person, whether it's positive or negative. Don't ever leave someone who left you a negative response hanging. They deserve a response just as much as the person who told you were doing an amazing job. Apologize. Tell them what you thought was wrong, or try and rectify the problem. Every single customer is important, even if they left unhappy. Fix the problem. We get a ton of great posts, a ton of great feedback, and then every so often we get one where it was a negative, and you have to approach it and take it as a learning lesson and learn something from it.
Yeah, I would agree 150%. You can't hide. There's no place to run anymore. And I think, just as you said, be honest. It shows that you're human too, and I think that's really important. But yeah, I don't see how you can run away from it.
I really don't have much to add. Responsiveness is key. And then if you can demonstrate that you're course correcting, so definitely in the food industry, if you get a series of complaints on one issue or one topic, and you're able through social media to demonstrate how you've course corrected and how you've addressed the issue, I think that would, be a no-brainer. But responsiveness is everything.
Yeah, I mean, we have people, we have a team, we're just checking it 24/7, and I'm reviewing it on a weekly basis to check in to see if there is a repeated problem and is there something happening internally that we can correct.
Well, especially, I'm sure all you guys have experienced that one customer, no matter how much you help them out, you give them a little extra, they're just still angry beyond comprehension and can't be pleased. Is that just a case where you shut it down and just got to move on?
No, I think you take the high road and you still do your best. And if I didn't, I think my mom would be pissed about it. But yeah, you take the high road, and you can't please everybody. You have to know that. I mean, your brand stands for something, but it doesn't mean you're rude to someone because they don't like what you offer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So let's talk about mentors. Who have been some of your biggest mentors starting your small business? What's been that feedback they've given you, positive or negative? Because sometimes that's what those mentors are there for, to give you that tough love, something you might not want to hear, but it's really going to make your business get that much better.
I don't actually have one specific mentor, but I cannot tell you how invaluable my family, my mom, my sister, and my boyfriend have been in helping me along the way. I mean, they are probably the people who are going to be the most honest to you. They love you unconditionally, so even if you don't agree with them, they're still going to, tell you you're wrong or you're right or this is a good idea or you should think about doing this. So listen to your family. They care about you and they want you to succeed. But I actually took an entrepreneur class at UB a couple years ago, and my professor told me to fail fast. And that sounds pretty harsh, but he was completely right. You have to realize when you have an idea and it's not working to get out, because you do not want to be stuck in something financially, especially if it's not working out. So that was some good advice.
Yeah, my mentors, pretty much everything is from afar, just trying to digest stuff from books and YouTube and going to listen to people speak and try to be inspired that way.
And listening to the Latitude podcast on a regular basis?
Well, yes.
I appreciate that.
We will now.
But I think it goes something to the effect of Earl Nightingale said you need to grow people. And I think that is super important. Everything we do is through people. So investing in others, and sometimes that means putting them before yourself. And you as a leader, you sometimes eat last. And I think showing that dedication and that commitment in front of your team speaks volumes. And those people will stick around.
So here's what I have to say about mentorship. You will be surprised how many people will take your phone call. So you might be intimidated by so-and-so who is CEO of this company that you are using as your business model or you're inspired by, and they're so out of your league, and why would they ever give you 5 minutes? 9 times out of 10, they will. So what I have experienced in my career outside of these companies and definitely in these companies is always reach out. The worst thing that you would ever get is an unreturned email, and then so what? But if there's someone out there who inspires you, who you want to make your mentor, or who you just want the benefit of a coffee date with them, reach out in a meaningful way, and I think you'll be very surprised at the response.
So as we wrap this up, what's your parting advice for an entrepreneur already in the thick of it, or for the 27 entrepreneurs who are about to take that next step?
Hustle. It's a round-the-clock hustle. That's it.
Keep going at it.
Yeah.
Don't sleep. It's a grind. Get used to it. Love it.
I mean, those were all amazing people who spoke tonight, and I think all three of us were back there saying we were just so blown away and so honored to be a part of this and be able to be a part of them growing their businesses here. So it's a lot of work, but you're in a great city, and grow with your city, grow with your community. They are the most important part of your business.
And I think in times of flux, make sure you remember why you're doing it. Your why is super important. It should be at the front of your mind. You should, when you wake up in the morning and it's a tough day, focus on the why. And make sure that the values of your company, your brand is you're speaking that story and you're speaking it as loud as you can, because that's how you're going to attract the people that ultimately will come into your business, either as customers or on your team.
Well, Pete, Kilby, Mariah, thank you so much for helping us out tonight, joining this panel. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it here. How about a round of applause for our panel? Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I want to thank Pete, Mariah, and Kilby for joining me on the special edition of this podcast at the Ignite Buffalo Finals. I thought it was a fantastic conversation, and all the feedback I've gotten from folks is that they really enjoyed everything. So thank you again to that panel for helping us out, and especially, like I mentioned in the podcast, to Mariah, who literally joined us on that podcast with about an hour to spare because one of our guests had to cancel, unfortunately. So thank you again, Mariah, for stepping up and talking about small business in Western New York. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and leave us some feedback. Shoot me an email, podcast@43north.org. Let me know who you want on the podcast, who you want to hear, if you want to be on the podcast, or if there's a special topic you would like us to talk about, because this is your show. I'm just the megaphone. And remember to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Just, head on over there. Next time you're searching for podcasts, just go, hey, I should leave a 5-star review for Latitude because I really, really enjoy it. And if you want to participate in any of the Ignite Buffalo small business training and programming and mentorships and all the things we'll be doing with the Ignite Buffalo program, head on over to ignitebuffalo.org, sign up for our mailing list, or join the Ignite Buffalo Facebook group, so that way you don't miss any announcements on when we're going to be holding workshops, seminars, job training, job fairs, things like that. For 43 North, I'm Nate Benson. We'll see you with the next one, and thanks for listening.